Huwag kang matakot, Tala.
The movie opens in 1945 in the Philippines, where a scene unfolds in which a Japanese soldier resorts to cannibalism. After consuming another soldier, he begins choking, and to his horror, a live bird emerges from his throat, adding to the bizarre and disturbing nature of the scene. After this, we see a wealthy family who is trapped in their country mansion and terrorized by Japanese soldiers who are losing control of the island. Aldo tells Antonio that he has shared all the information he knows and that he simply wants his family to live in peace. Antonio says that everyone desires to live in peace and asks Aldo about the whereabouts of the hidden gold, but Aldo says he knows nothing about it. Later, Aldo tells Ligea that the Japanese have orders to eliminate everyone in the village, and as long as Antonio remains alive, she is not safe. He informs her that he will return and requests that she stay within the house for her own security. She asks him if he has stolen the Japanese gold, to which he assures her that he would never do anything that would jeopardize her safety. Only then their daughter Talim enters and asks what's happening. Aldo informs her that the Americans have arrived and need his assistance. Tala questions what will happen to them, and he promises to return. Before leaving, he instructs his son to be courageous and protect their home. 2 weeks pass, and the Japanese soldiers no longer come to their village. This absence means they also stop receiving rations, and Ligea's health begins to deteriorate. Later, Talat asks Ligea what will happen to them if their father doesn't return. Ligea reassures them, saying that as long as they have light in their home, nothing will happen to them or to their father. After this, they all start praying, but during this time, Ligea's health deteriorates, and she collapses on the floor. Later, Talat asks Ligea if she can go out tomorrow to look for food, but she says they will wait here. Talat asks has it ever occurred to her that father might be dead, to which she gets furious, causing Tala to leave the room. The next day, Tala and Bayani make plans to venture outside the house. Bayani takes their father's gun for protection, and they prepare to leave. However, their actions do not go unnoticed, as their maid observes them leaving the house. Tala and Bayani continue to explore the forest and come across a hut. Tala asks Bayani to wait for her and decides to enter the hut to investigate. Inside, she discovers a toffee on a plate and, feeling hungry, she picks it up and eats it. However, her enjoyment is short-lived as she notices something unusual within the hut. As she approaches that area, fear grips her as she witnesses a gruesome sight. A lifeless girl's body lies there, covered in a swarm of insects. Tala immediately comes back and asks Bayani to leave from there. As they proceed, Bayani hears a voice and stops. Suddenly, Tala is startled as she finds her father walking right in front of her. But when she turns to look back, Bayani has mysteriously vanished. In the meantime, Amr is discreetly attempting to open a door, but only then Ligea comes there and asks her where are the children. Here Bayani reaches near a stream and is shocked to see that the dead bodies of many people are lying there. Here Tala hears Bayani's voice calling her, so she starts going in that direction, but she finds a hut there instead. Frightened, she goes into the hut and is greeted by a haunting sight, numerous mosaics on the wall, and a lifeless body entangled within the vines of a tree. Only then did the entity appear there and say she's been waiting for her. The entity reassures her not to be afraid and claims to be her friend, explaining that only the innocent can discover this place. She then asks her does she wants to know if her father is still alive. Talat asks her if she knows where her father is, to which she tells her that he is alive and he will return, and her brother has safely reached home. Tala questions how she knows all this, to which the entity says insects tell her and they are the ones who give her life. The entity offers her assistance saying, if she ever needs her help, she is here, and she just needs to ask. Tala returns home, but during the night, she's startled by a noise and discovers the entity standing in her room. The entity approaches Tala and expresses concern about her mother's deteriorating health. She offers a jar, explaining that it contains a potential cure, but it might also make her mother's its new home. The next day, Talat asks Bayani what happened to him the previous day. Bayani shares that he had a distressing dream in which he couldn't locate her, their mother, or their father. Then, he heard a voice beckoning him from the forest, and he followed it, and then he finds all of them lifeless, with their heads missing. Tala comforts her brother and tells him not to worry. She tells him about her own experience in the forest and how she met a woman who assured her that their father will return. Afterward, we see that Amr has ventured off in secret to meet with Antonio. She confesses that she hasn't yet located the gold and pleads with the man to help her find Lando. He, in turn, insists that she must find the treasure first and reminds her of his connections with his Japanese associates. He says he is giving her 2 more days, or else he will look for it himself, and when that happens, she will never be able to see Lando again. As Ligea's health continued to deteriorate, Tala, out of desperation, decided to place the insect given to her by the entity on her mother in the hopes that it might facilitate her recovery. As the insect enters her mouth, Ligea suddenly awakens and sits up. After a moment of choking and gasping for air, she turns her gaze toward Tala, emitting a chilling and frightening sound. The next day, Ligea's health has fully rebounded, and she tells Tala that their father will soon return, and he will bring home a feast, so she don't have to worry. She then asks her what happened last night, to which Tala tells her that she met a fairy and she healed her. During the following night, Ligea is alone in her room, exhibiting strange and distressing behavior, as if she's in pain. Unbeknownst to anyone, the insect appears to be attempting to exert control over her body. The next day, Bayani is stirred by mysterious sounds within the house. When he investigates his mother's room, he discovers that she's not there. As he looks for answers, he spots Ligea descending the stairs, and he begins to follow her, concerned about her strange behavior and the unfolding events. Bayani discovers his mother sitting on the floor, seemingly engaged in a gruesome act, and when she looks at him, he is horrified to realize that she was indeed eating her own hand. Following the disturbing incident, Amber takes it upon herself to clean and tuck Ligea into bed. As she searches for something on the dressing table, an inexplicable and horrifying transformation begins to afflict Ligea. She suddenly awakens, emitting a piercing scream, and her tongue starts protruding in a terrifying manner. Witnessing this, Amber is consumed by fear and immediately locks her in her room, and she flees from the unfolding nightmare. Meanwhile, Tala visits the place of the fairy, who acknowledges that Tala's mother has been healed. Tala expresses her gratitude for the miraculous recovery and mentions their need for food. The fairy points to a nearby tree, and to Tala's astonishment, an abundance of food appears there. Filled with joy, Tala starts eating and collecting the food, filling her basket. The fairy reassures her that she can take as much as she needs, emphasizing that Tala is now a woman who can make her own decisions. Upon returning home with the food, Tala is met with Bayani's fearful revelation, who tells her that something is wrong with their mother. Tala discovers that the door is locked and turns to Bayani, urgently asking him for the key. Bayani places blame on her and her friend, to which Tala gets furious and asks him what he has ever done to help. Later that night, the door to Ligea's room opens on its own, accompanied by a chilling sound emanating from within. Tala is jolted awake by the unsettling noise and senses an eerie presence in her room. Suddenly, her bed moves, sending a wave of fear through her. When she fearfully investigates under her bed, she discovers her mother lying there, intensifying the atmosphere of dread and uncertainty. Following the eerie encounter under the bed, a sense of calm descends. Tala ventures outside to investigate and hears the dog barking and growling. However, the atmosphere takes a gruesome turn when the dog's barks turn into screams of agony. Tala rushes downstairs to witness a horrifying sight. Her mother has killed the dog and is consuming it. As Ligea begins to advance towards Tala, she swiftly shuts the door to shield herself from her mother's menacing approach. Bayani arrives downstairs and asks what has happened to their mother. When he opens the door, they find their mother lies unconscious on the ground outside, and a bird is also nearby. Following this unsettling discovery, they carefully bring Ligea back upstairs, and she requests that they lock her in her room. Bayani tells Tala that they need light. Tala fetches a lantern and places it nearby as they sit together, and she tells him that she will fix it. Meanwhile, outside, the fairy reappears and begins to consume the bird. The following day, Bayani solemnly buries his dog outside, marking a poignant moment of farewell. Inside, Tala is surprised to find the fairy has once again entered their house. She confronts the fairy, demanding to know what has happened to her mother and urging her to undo whatever she's done. However, the fairy asserts that she made the necessary choice and that it was the right thing to do, even if it meant sacrificing her mother's humanity. Tala, frustrated and fearful, orders the fairy to leave, declaring that they don't need her assistance and that it is the fairy who requires her help. The fairy tells Tala that if she ever requires her assistance again, she knows where to find her. Tala screams at her to leave, and the fairy vanishes. After this, she hears some noise, and we see Antonio and Amber trying to find treasure in their house. But when they don't get it, Antonio becomes frustrated and tells Amber that she is useless like her husband. He is about to shoot her when his attention turns to Tala, prompting him to fire a shot in her direction. He exits the room and interrogates Tala about the gold, but she says she don't know. He then tells her that her dad was conspiring with the Japanese for their lives. She asks him where is her father, to which he says he is dead. Just then Bayani also arrives there and points his gun to Antonio. However, when Antonio challenges him to pull the trigger, Bayani hesitates and cannot bring himself to shoot. Seizing the opportunity, fires a shot that strikes Beani, and Tala rushes to her injured brother's side. Antonio turns back to Tala, pressing her for information about the gold's location. Tala, feeling cornered, hands over the keys to her mother's bedroom, indicating that Antonio may find what he seeks there. Tala pleads with Amr to assist him, but when Amr goes to her, she informs her that her traitorous father is now dead. She then leaves there saying that Antonio is the only one who can help her now. As Antonio and Amr search Ligea's room for the treasure, they are suddenly attacked by Ligea herself. In the chaos, Tala, fearing for her mother, shoots at the approaching figure. However, to her shock, she realizes that it is Amr who has been shot, not her mother. Tala then proceeds to her mother's room, only to be met with a horrifying sight. Ligea has brutally attacked and killed Antonio, and she is now consuming his flesh. Ligea then turns towards her and Tala quickly escapes the room and rushes to Beani, urgently insisting that they must leave the house. Meanwhile, Ligea again vomits a bird, and Tala somehow brings Beani out, but he becomes unconscious. Tala, desperate and filled with guilt, returns to the fairy's location and pleads for her assistance. She says it's her fault and implores the fairy to help her restore her family. The fairy appears and offers a solution, providing Tala with something to eat that she claims will bring an end to their suffering. However, Tala becomes suspicious and feels that she is just deceiving her, so she abruptly leaves the place. The fairy, angered by Tala's refusal, reveals her fierce and formidable form for the first time. As Tala returns home, she is struck by the absence of Beani outside. She hurries indoors, only to be confronted by a nightmarish sight: her brother's severed head. This gruesome discovery shatters her heart and intensifies the horror that has befallen their family. Only then she hears a sound and turns to find the fairy standing nearby, wearing a sinister smile. Tala then glances in another direction and witnesses her mother violently banging her head against the door, further contributing to the unsettling and horrifying circumstances enveloping their home. Suddenly, Ligea makes a menacing rush toward Tala, who desperately locks herself in a room, seeking refuge from the approaching horror. Inside the room, Tala discovers that Ligea has also attacked and consumed Amr, intensifying the horror that has consumed her family. Seated in a corner, Tala pleads for the nightmarish events to stop. Only then Fairy comes there and tells her that she needs her. She asks her to tell her what she wants, to which Tala says she wants all of this gone. In her true form, the fairy smiles, and suddenly, everything becomes quiet. Upon exiting the room, Tala discovers her mother lying unconscious. The insect that had been associated with the strange events emerges from Ligea's back and flies away. As Tala approaches her mother, Ligea mutters her son Beani's name before drawing her last breath. Fairy then again appears there and says this will all be gone, and she can do everything she wishes. Tala turns towards her, and the fairy extends that thing towards her and asks her to eat it, and she will truly be free. With no other recourse, Tala makes the decision to take the shining object from the fairy. As she does so, the fairy vanishes from the scene, leaving Tala with the consequences of her choice. Now, after a few days, Aldo finally returns to his home, but seeing the atmosphere there, he is devastated. While he is mourning the death of his son, Lando takes out gold from a drawer, after which he goes to Aldo's room and shoots him and then walks away with the gold. Now that night, Tala lights a candle in front of Mother Mary, whose light causes the fruit given by the fairy to rot. After this, she asks her mother to guide her if she is listening, as she no longer knows who she should believe and who she should trust. May she be her light in this very long night.